That's how I know that this is a good fit, because it's fitting me like a girdle, girl. It's fitting me. Hello, sewing friends. Shawnee's here, and do you know what this is? So as I'm going through the videos, doing the where you should be getting your measurements and why it's important to have those measurements in certain places, at the end result, not of this video series, but at the end of taking your measurements properly, you should be able to complete something like this. This one is, not only is it skin tight, it's a little bit too tight. So as you can see right here, see all this wrinkling, it's there because I was sucking in. You should not you should not suck in your stomach when you're taking your measurements, but I do not listen. I'm sucking in, because when I walk around, I'm either going to have a girdle on. Do you wear a girdle? I wear a girdle, some Spanx, or I'm sucking it in. But this is a little bit too tight. So just to make sure that my measurements are where they need to be, I need to get rid of this wrinkling. So, because when I suck in my gut and pull it down, this is how it should be. This is what it should look like. But whenever I relax myself, oh yeah, everything. Let me show you the back. Look it in. Princess seams in the back. You see this little string on here? This is how I get the zipper up. So whenever if I want to take the zipper off, I have to maneuver my arms. In this rear, it just came off, but sometimes I gotta lift it up right there. And so I hold the bottom and I pull it to get my zipper up, and to take it down, I hold on the top, I grab the bottom, and I pull the zipper. So that's how, otherwise I have to keep calling husbands to come and zip me up, unzip me, zip me up, unzip me. So this is a muslin. Princess seams are where they should be. Apex line is where they should be. Shoulder darts in a good spot. I did have to cut some off right here, because something about my measurements, I always make my shoulder longer than what they should be. You can see this is where the dots are. Here is the little divot right here. So I got my proper neck opening. So I do not want to add any more width in my princess seam. I'm going to add more room to the side. No, the back is fine. Remove my zipper tape. There's the back. So it's the sides. I'm going to add a 1/2 inch to the sides. So if I'm going to add a 1/2 inch to the sides, how many inches do I add to get a 1/2 inch of extra fabric on both sides? Things that make you go, because I feel a 1/2 inch might be enough to just release some of this tension and to allow my waist to fall. This is where my waist is, but because I don't have enough on the side, it's raising up. So that's the question. We'll see. All right. Happy sewing, y'all. Bye. Hi, sewing friends. Shawnee's here, and I am back with the second muslin. So after I did the first one, the last question I asked is, how much do I have to add to each side seam to get 1/2 inch? The answer is 1/4 inch, because I wanted to get a 1/2 inch on both sides. So that means a 1/2 inch over here. Since I have 2 side seams, each side seam will get 1/4, and then on this side, same thing, each side seam will get 1/4. So the answer is 1/4 to each side to get 1/2 inch on both sides. So instead of, what I did first was I redid my numbers and I increased the waist on the number. And when I did that, I got, this is the pattern that I got, but I don't know if you can see right here, when I did this number, when I changed it completely, when I changed the numbers and I tried to mess around with them, my numbers were completely off. And so I knew that this first one was the one that worked for me. And so I decided to just, go ahead and have this and cut it. I'm not going to cut it up, but just to keep it as a reference, just in case maybe down the road, I might feel like cutting this out and making a sloper out of it and seeing kind of what happens. So what I did instead was I added a 1/4 inch to each side, and this is the resulting muslin. And I'm still sucking it in because that's what I do. I definitely got more room, definitely need a little bit more room, but I'm not going to make another sloper pattern. I'm going to take the one that I have and I'm going to add a 1/4 inch to the back seam, and I'm thinking about adding 1/8 of an inch to the front. So I have to do those calculations to figure out kind of how I get that in all the right places, because if you see right here, sorry that I'm pointing to my boob, but I have to see these lines right here. Not this line. This line is supposed to be there. This is the line that's showing me where my apex are on each side, and that's just something that I sew into the pattern just to make sure that I know where my apex is and I know how far apart they are. But if you look right here, under here and under here, you see these lines. What these lines are saying is that, yep, I need a little bit more width going on in here. Same thing at the side. See these lines? These are stretching lines. So it's just saying, yep, I'm pulling. So if I were to try to take this and tighten it without stretching it, the lines would increase. So I do need a little bit more width around here, but I'm not going to make that because this is supposed to be a second skin. It's supposed to be tight, because then when I take my skin flat, which is not going to be this one, it's going to be a new one. When I take my skin and make it flat, I know exactly what it looks like when I compare it to a pattern. So I don't want, so again, when I pull it, this is how it's supposed to be. So right now, this stretching that's going on, it's just saying, hey, we just need a little bit more room going on. Same here with the sleeve. This is what I still have to cut off. And so with me and my sleeve, I don't know. But you know what? Now that I think about it, I'm not going to cut it off because this is where it should be with my sloper. My sloper should be right here. But whenever I convert this to the actual pattern and I put seam allowance on, this is probably how much seam allowance I'm going to need. Because if you take 5/8 of this and get rid of it, let's see if I could tuck it under. So it's really giving me where I need to be. It's giving me all kind of love right here. So this is what I do with my numbers. Now, does everyone have to know how to do one of these to do fitting? Absolutely not. This is something that I was fascinated with when I first saw it. I was like, no, never me, not going to do it, don't need to. But then as I continued to sew and I kept seeing that I had to always make adjustments to my pattern, I'm like, you know what? It would be just so easy if I had a template of what my body is, not knowing that that's what this was. And I can't remember what happened or where I was when I realized that this is what I needed in my life. I don't remember. All I know is that I needed one. Let me go ahead and tuck this one in so I can look super. Ooh. There we go. So this is where I want to live. This is where I'm staying. So other ways that you can do fitting is that you can just have your body measurements written down And then you can take your body measurements and look at the pattern and just measure it, and then mark some places where you need to make changes. And then so that's called flat pattern adjustments. Yeah, flat pattern adjustments. And then with that, there are 3 different ways that you can adjust those. You can either use the slide and pivot method, which you use your side seams and you just take your pattern and pivot it and draw a new side seam. There's the slash, where you're slashing your garments and spreading things out, similar to how you would do a full bust adjustment. And then there is just taking actual pieces. This is the part, when it comes to flat pattern adjustments, what I like to do is I like to actually take the pattern and say, you know what, I need to move my apex up. I just cut that out, move it up, straighten the lines, and create a new pattern instead of doing the pivot thing. Because the pivot method is awesome when it comes to your waist and your hips. But when it comes to bust, for me, I'm cutting stuff out, moving it to where I need to be, and taping it back in, and then filling in the holes where I need. So when it comes to fitting, I think the best way to learn how to do fitting is you're working on a project. Because if I got up here, there's so much to fitting. And because each of us has different body shape, different, none of us are the same, changes can be, it's a lot. Excuse me. I think it would be impossible for me to talk about fitting within like an hour or 2 hours, and it's going to meet everybody's needs. Whereas if we're working on a project and everybody's working on this project, and then individually, hey, how's that pattern working for you? Let's look at your muslin. Let's look to see where it needs to be changed and go from there. And then people are learning off of each other and helping each other, which is kind of like why I am now back on this platform, meaning Facebook. There's always an opportunity to work with me on one-on-one virtually, so that you can have your one-on-one time and that your fitting needs can be addressed. So if you are not in the Rochester area, you can set up time with me and we will work virtually one-on-one. If you are in Rochester, your opportunities are to attend a garment sewing workshop or to work with me here in my studio one-on-one. Stay tuned for the next video, again, where I'm going to be talking about the waist. No, did I do the waist? I think I already did the waist. The high hip. No, the waist, high hip, and low hip. Okay. Bye. Thanks for watching. Yes. I was over here taking pictures and I completely forgot to show the back of what I did with the back. Okay, hold on. Oh, I fell my slippers. So on this side, I didn't do anything. There's some bunching up over here. Now, when I did this pattern, I didn't measure down here. I just took my pattern pieces and went straight down just to kind of see where I was going. So right here, there's some bunching up. But what I did was I put some pins in it and I pinned it up so that I can get that good curve. So that's how I know that this is a good fit, because it's fitting me like a girdle, girl. It's fitting me. Okay. Back to your regular program.